Hello, everyone. Today, we are going to do something different. We are going to learn English through one of the most incredible stories in human history, a story of courage, intelligence, and power. But this is not just a story. This is a complete English lesson hidden inside a real-life adventure. Why are we doing this? Because the best way to learn English is not through boring textbooks. It is through stories that inspire you, motivate you, and make you remember the words forever. So here is what we will do today. First, I will tell you the complete story of Ching Shih, the most powerful pirate in history. A woman who went from nothing to commanding 80,000 pirates. Then, at the end, we will learn important English words, grammar rules, and punctuation, full stops, commas, and how to use them correctly. Are you ready? Good. Let us begin. Part 1, The Beginning. The year was 1775. The place was southern China. A baby girl was born into extreme poverty. We do not even know her real name. History only remembers her as Ching Shih, which means the widow of Ching. Notice the punctuation here. When I say Ching Shih, I use quotation marks because it is a specific name or title. Also, notice the comma after. History only remembers her as Ching Shih, and then I continue with which means. That comma creates a natural pause. Now, back to the story. This girl grew up in terrible conditions. She had no education, no money, no opportunities. By the time she became a young woman, she was working on a floating brothel, a boat where women were forced to entertain men for money. Most people in her situation would have no hope. Most people would accept their fate and live a difficult, painful life. But Ching Shih was different. In 1801, something unexpected happened. A powerful pirate captain named Ching Shih came to the floating brothel. He saw her. And for some reason, maybe he saw intelligence in her eyes, maybe he saw strength, he fell in love with her. He proposed marriage. Now, here is where the story becomes interesting. Most women in her position would say yes immediately. A chance to escape poverty. A chance to marry a powerful man. Of course. But Ching Shih did not say yes right away. Instead, she made a demand. She said, I will marry you, but I want equal power. I want to be your partner, not just your wife. Can you imagine? A woman with no power, no money, no status, demanding equality from one of the most powerful pirates in China. And you know what? Ching Shih agreed. This was her first lesson in power: know your value, even when the world tells you that you have none. Part 2, Building an Empire. After their marriage, Ching Shih and Ching Shih began working together. They were not just husband and wife, they were business partners. And their business was piracy. But not just small-time theft. They had a vision, a massive, organized empire. At that time, the South China Sea was full of pirate gangs. There was the Red Flag Fleet, the Black Flag Fleet, the Green Flag Fleet, the Yellow Flag Fleet, the Blue Flag Fleet, all rival groups who hated each other and fought constantly. Ching Shih and Ching Shih did something nobody had ever done before: they united them all. How did they do it? Through strategy, negotiation, and force. They offered benefits to those who joined them. They destroyed those who refused. Within a few years, they controlled over 400 ships and thousands of pirates. They were not just stealing from merchant ships anymore. They were running a complete operation: protection money, controlled trade routes, licensed passages, administrative systems. Think about that for a moment. Two people, starting with almost nothing, built an empire that controlled the entire South China Sea. But then, in 1807, tragedy struck. Ching Shih died. He was lost at sea during a storm. Just like that, he was gone. And everyone, every pirate, every rival, every government official, thought the same thing: the empire is finished. It will collapse now. This is where Ching Shih proved that she was not just a partner. She was a leader. Part 3, The Rise of the Pirate Queen. When Ching Shih died, Ching Shih moved immediately. She did not wait. She did not hesitate. She did not give anyone time to challenge her authority. Within hours, she formed an alliance with Ching Shi's most trusted lieutenant, a man named Chang Pao. Some historians believe they got married. Others think it was purely strategic. Either way, the result was the same: Ching Shih was now in control of 80,000 pirates. But here was the problem: she was a woman in 1807 China, trying to command rough, violent, superstitious men who believed that women on ships brought bad luck. So what did she do? She created a code, a strict set of laws that everyone had to follow. And these were not gentle rules. These were brutal, absolute laws with no exceptions. Let me read you some of these laws. Law 1: If you desert your position, your ears will be cut off. If you desert again, you will be executed. Law 2: If you steal from the common treasury, you will be executed immediately. Law 3: If you rape a captive woman, you will be executed. If you have a consensual relationship with a captive woman and do not marry her, you will also be executed. Law 4: If you disobey a direct order from a superior, you will be executed. Notice the structure of these sentences. Each law starts with "if you," followed by the action, then a comma, and then the consequence. This is called a conditional sentence: if X happens, then Y will happen. Now, back to the story. Ching Shih did not just rule through fear. She was also incredibly smart about money and loyalty. She created a fair system of rewards. Here is how it worked. Every ship received a share of the treasure based on their contribution. If you fought bravely, you were promoted. If you brought in valuable loot, you were rewarded. If you followed the rules, you prospered. She turned piracy into a business, a meritocracy where talent and effort mattered more than your background. And it worked beautifully. For 3 years, from 1807 to 1810, Ching Shih controlled the South China Sea. The Chinese government sent their navy to stop her. She destroyed them, multiple times. The Portuguese navy attacked her fleet. She defeated them. The British got involved, offering support to the Chinese government. Still, they could not touch her. At her peak, Ching Shih commanded over 1,800 ships and 80,000 pirates. To put that in perspective, the famous pirate Blackbeard had 4 ships. Captain Kidd had a few ships. Every famous Caribbean pirate combined had fewer ships than Ching Shih alone. She was not just a pirate. She was the most powerful naval force in Asia. Fishermen paid her for safe passage. Merchants paid her protection money. She issued official licenses, provided receipts, and ran a complete administrative system, just like a government. The Chinese government was losing their minds. Their economy was suffering. Their trade was disrupted. Their navy was being humiliated again and again. Something had to change. Part 4, The Perfect Negotiation. In 1810, the Chinese government realized that they could not defeat Ching Shih through military force. So they tried something different. They sent a messenger with an offer: full amnesty. Complete pardon. Keep all your wealth. We will even give official positions in the Chinese Navy to your fleet. Just stop attacking our ships. Now, most pirates in history would laugh at this offer. Why stop? Why surrender when you are winning? But Ching Shih was smarter than most pirates. She understood something that very few people in power ever understand: knowing when to stop is more important than knowing how to fight. She looked at the situation carefully. She analyzed it like a chess player looking at the board. Here is what she saw. Yes, she was winning now. But how long could it last? The Chinese government would keep sending larger and larger forces. Eventually, through sheer numbers, they might win. And if she lost even once, everything would be over, execution for her and her entire fleet. But if she negotiated now, while she still had maximum power, she could get everything she wanted. So she did something brilliant: she negotiated. Hard. She did not just accept their first offer. She made demands. Demand 1, amnesty for all 80,000 pirates, not just herself. Demand 2, she keeps every single coin of her massive wealth. Demand 3, Chang Pao gets a high-ranking position as a lieutenant in the Chinese Navy. Demand 4, official recognition and respect. And you know what? The Chinese government agreed to everything. Part 5, the retirement. In 1810, Ching Shih walked away from piracy. She retired. Just like that. She did not die in battle. She did not get captured. She did not get betrayed by her own people. She negotiated her own retirement and lived to enjoy it. After retiring, she opened a gambling house in Canton. She lived a comfortable, peaceful life. She had children. She watched them grow up. She became a grandmother. And in 1844, at approximately 69 years old, Ching Shih died peacefully in her home, surrounded by family. Let that sink in for a moment. She went from working in a brothel to commanding the most powerful pirate fleet in history. She defeated the Chinese Navy, the Portuguese Navy, and British-supported forces. She negotiated her own terms of surrender. And then she lived for 34 more years in peace and prosperity. Almost no pirate in history can say that. Blackbeard was killed in battle. Captain Kidd was captured and executed. Most pirates died young, violent deaths. But Ching Shih? She won completely. And here is the most interesting part: the Chinese government barely wrote about her in their official history records. They were too embarrassed to admit that a woman, a former prostitute, had defeated them so thoroughly. Most of what we know about her comes from British and Portuguese sources who witnessed her fleet firsthand and wrote about her with a mixture of fear and respect. She commanded more ships than every famous pirate in history combined. And most people have never even heard her name. So, what can we learn from Ching Shih's story? Lesson 1, your past does not define your future. Ching Shih was born into poverty. She worked in a brothel. Society told her that she was worthless. But she refused to accept that story. She demanded respect. She took control of her life. And she became the most powerful pirate in history. If you are in a difficult situation right now, if people have told you that you cannot succeed, remember Ching Shih. Your background does not determine your destiny. Your choices do. Lesson 2, intelligence is more powerful than violence. Yes, Ching Shih commanded 80,000 pirates. Yes, she won many battles. But her greatest victories came from strategy, not swords. She united rival gangs through negotiation. She created a code that built loyalty. And most importantly, she knew when to stop fighting and start negotiating. In your life, remember this: the smartest person in the room is not always the loudest or the strongest. Sometimes, the smartest person is the one who knows when to fight and when to walk away. Lesson 3, know your value, and demand it. When Ching proposed marriage, Ching Shih could have said yes immediately. But she did not. She negotiated. She demanded equal power. In your career, in your relationships, in your life, know your value. Do not settle for less than you deserve just because it is easier or safer. Demand respect. Demand fairness. Lesson 4. True victory is not fighting until you die. True victory is knowing when you have won. This is perhaps the most important lesson. Most people do not know when to stop. They keep fighting, keep pushing, keep struggling, even when they have already won. Ching Shih understood that her leverage was at its peak in 1810. She could have kept fighting, but why? She had already achieved everything she wanted. So she stopped, negotiated, and lived a long, happy life. In your life, recognize your victories. Celebrate them. And do not destroy yourself by always chasing more. Now, let us talk about the English you learned today. Vocabulary words. 1. Prostitute. Meaning, a person, usually a woman, who engages in sexual activity for money. Example, she worked as a prostitute before becoming a pirate leader. Note, this is a formal word. In casual conversation, people might use other terms, but prostitute is the correct, standard English word. 2. Empire. Meaning, a group of countries or regions controlled by one ruler or government, or a large, powerful organization. Example, Ching Shih and Cheng built a pirate empire across the South China Sea. 3. Strategy. Meaning, a carefully planned method for achieving a goal, especially over a long period. Example, her strategy was to unite all the pirate gangs under one leadership. 4. Negotiate. Meaning, to discuss something formally in order to reach an agreement. Example, she negotiated with the Chinese government for amnesty. 5. Amnesty. Meaning, an official pardon or forgiveness, especially for political crimes. Example, the government offered amnesty to all 80,000 pirates. Punctuation lesson. Now, let us talk about commas and full stops, periods. Full stop. Purpose, a full stop marks the end of a complete sentence. Example. Ching Shih was a pirate. She commanded 80,000 pirates. Rule, use a full stop when your sentence expresses one complete thought. Comma. Purpose, a comma creates a pause within a sentence. It separates ideas, lists, or clauses. Use 1, separating items in a list. Example, she controlled the red flag fleet, the black flag fleet, and the green flag fleet. Notice, we put a comma after each item in the list. Use 2, after introductory words or phrases. Example, in 1807, Ching died. Notice, we put a comma after, in 1807, because it introduces the main idea of the sentence. Another example, after retiring, she opened a gambling house. Use 3, before conjunctions in compound sentences. Example, she was a brilliant strategist, and she understood power. Notice, we put a comma before, and, because we are joining two complete sentences. Use 4, around non-essential information. Example, Ching Shih, the most powerful pirate in history, negotiated her own retirement. Notice, the phrase, the most powerful pirate in history, is extra information. We put commas around it. Use 5, in conditional sentences. Example, if you desert your position, your ears will be cut off. Notice, we put a comma after the if part of the sentence. Practice exercise. Add commas and full stops where necessary. Ching Shih was born in 1775. She worked on a floating brothel, but she became the most powerful pirate in history. She commanded 80,000 pirates and she retired peacefully. Correct version. Ching Shih was born in 1775. She worked on a floating brothel, but she became the most powerful pirate in history. She commanded 80,000 pirates, and she retired peacefully. So, that is the story of Ching Shih, the pirate queen who conquered the seas and then conquered something even harder, knowing when to stop. I hope you learned something today, not just about history, but about English, about punctuation, and about life. Remember, your past does not define you. Intelligence beats violence. Know your value. Recognize your victories. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. We will tell one motivational story regularly, and you will learn perfect English through these incredible real-life adventures. Drop a comment below, what story should we tell next? Keep learning, keep growing, and remember, every word has a story, and every story has a lesson. Thank you for watching.